Ilia's two title wins are coming off guys whose most recent fights were at 155, Max Holloway and Volkanovski. And Max Holloway looked like the weight cut was just that much more brutal because of that, and Volkanovski was coming off a fresh knockout like 3-4 months earlier than that. So how impressed are you by those wins?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Main Event Mindset, presented by Clinch.
You already fucked it up.
June 25th, 25 years after zero. And welcome to round one.
Yeah. Let's stay on the let me stay on the beating path here.
First thing we want to talk about here, we're only going to really do MMA, UFC specifically, especially for the International Fight Week card coming up this weekend. But we did get some news from Dana on Saturday night that Jon Jones called the UFC and retired as of now. My first question is, do you think he's done for good fighting?
Honestly, I don't. How do I want to say this? I guess just straightforward. The best, I heard he was in a hit and run. And by heard, I mean he was in a hit and run over the weekend. And he basically, like the same day that came out, it was the same day that his retirement came out. I think he was like, I have to focus on this whole hit and run I just committed. He was probably hammered when he called Dana and fucking retired right then and there and was like, I think he might have still been. Now, he's a Vegas guy. Like, he likes to come to Vegas. Obviously, he fights out here a lot. I did hear from somebody that works at a casino out here that he was at the casino a few weeks ago, and he was like, I'm ready to party. So it didn't sound like he was preparing to fight Tom Aspinall. But that's kind of how that's been the story of his career, and he's undefeated, isn't he? So, but the reason why I say no, that he will come back, is I think he's just going through the motions right now. I think a guy like that, Mike Tyson's fighting at what, 59 years old or some shit. Conor McGregor's like, has no business fighting, and he's probably going to fight again, it looks like.
He just fought at the club.
He just fought at the club. Like, these guys cannot let it go, man. Like,
What do you think about their spending habits?
The top of the top, whether that means your name's at the top of the top or your career, your legacy's at the top of the top, it's very hard for them to let it go. There's some level-headed guys out there. Like, I do think Demetrius Johnson is cool, just like competing at some minor level. Like, Anderson Silva's still fighting. The point I'm getting to is I don't know how Jon Jones can just be away and go, that's it, I'm done. I've done everything I need to do. Maybe Tom Aspinall becomes undisputed champ in his next. He's already the undisputed champ after Jones had to vacate with retirement. They upgraded him to undisputed. Maybe Tom Aspinall fights twice in the next 6 months, wins both of those fights, and Jones says, okay, now he has enough legacy to when I go beat him, it means something to me. You know what I mean?
No, of course.
I think there's going to be some incentive for him to come back. I think he will come back.
Make sure you let us know, too, what you think. Do you think Jon Jones is done fighting for good, or will he come back to fight? Bill, what are your thoughts on that?
I think he does come back. I leave to like Danny's suggestion that maybe he lets Tom build his legacy a little bit more, or maybe he did some way where he retired, he's out of his contract, and now he can go do the Francis super fight or something like that in Saudi Arabia, however they do that with Rite of Season and everything like that. I do see with these guys, like Conor has a bunch of other ventures going on, so he has money. I don't know if Jones really has that.
Oh, he does, for sure. I think he has a lot more money than people think.
Oh, he does. And I think he also lives within his means very well. And
Yeah, we have to understand, real quick. He doesn't go out and buy, he doesn't have a yacht.
No. Yeah,
he doesn't
very true.
do it like he
doesn't need a jet.
He seems like he buys like guns, and he eats like meat that's like
he likes to shoot. He likes to hang out his house. He probably likes to camp, do cocaine, and drink a lot of alcohol. Very simple.
Right, which is nowhere near that. You probably couldn't spend as much in a lifetime on alcohol if you were drinking daily as you would on one yacht.
Right.
I would have to assume.
Right. You'd be dead by the time.
Now, I do think Conor McGregor's name makes more money whenever he's obviously invested in bare knuckle, a whole bunch of other business ventures. I would assume Jon Jones is also.
He owns a record label. He owns an alcohol.
But
he
it's
owns
different.
He owns restaurants.
What I was going to say was, just kind of going off topic, it's with Dana White more than Jon Jones, but do you think that Dana White's focusing, I know Crawford and Canelo are fighting, and he's kind of taken over this whole, not taking over this boxing
the season boxing,
but he's trying to kind of venture into boxing more. Do you kind of feel like UFC a little bit is, I don't say dying.
It's dwindled.
Right.
Well, what it was, like, from Conor through COVID, like, Conor was like the first, I don't want to say the first, like the Liddell, all that was like the first big push. The first major push to like, we can get other guys to get $1 million pay-per-view sales consistently you have like your Brock Lesnar fight. You have like probably a Ronda Rousey fight sold 1 million. You had some names, but like this is our first guy who's consistently selling this, and he's also giving us another name to the UFC.
And Brock was coming over from WWE,
right? So I'm saying like Conor's the first push. Kova was the second push because it was like, this is the only sport still happening, and then you tune in and it's like dead silent and you're just hearing like bloodbaths and you're going, this is fucking awesome, right? They've lost the steam of those two things. What now? It definitely, and like I wanted to talk about this card. I felt like previous international fight weeks and just previous years of consistency throughout the cards, like this has been a kind of a weak year so far.
Yeah.
June's been a great month. What was the first main event? Sean O'Malley?
Yes.
And then you had Roundtree and Hill and Buckley and Usman. Now, some of those fights were disappointing, but overall, you got to look at the card. Like, all they can do is put a good card together. And they've done that throughout the month of June. But even at this, like I know Costa fell out, so it would have been a much better card on paper. But like Talbot's opening up against Lima, I've seen better international fight week cards.
Here's my issue. I brought this up before. June 7th, you have Merab versus O'Malley 2, right? Your co-main event there.
Woman fight, Kayla Harrison.
What the fuck just happened to my phone?
Juliana Pena, Kayla Harrison.
Right. It's Juliana Pena, Kayla Harrison. Then you have Gastelum and Pfeiffer. Then you have Batista and Patchy Mix. Oh, you wait till I get to you, Patchy Mix.
Oh, we'll get to
fucking cocksucker.
We will.
Regardless, fuck you. Then the next week, right, like you said, you go into a pretty solid, I would say, main event with Usman and Buckley. Okay? That is the weekend right after Merab and O'Malley. Just stay with me for a second. The next weekend, you have Jamal Hill and Khalil Roundtree, which is a pretty, like, number one contender-ish fighter.
Baham Mendes and Fiziev as the co-main as well.
Right. And then now you have Topuria and Oliveira with Pantoja Kai Kara-France, another title fight, and then Brandon Royval and Joshua Van.
Number one contender fight at that weight class.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you take one of those cards out and you put Usman and Buckley as the first fight on a pay-per-view. I said this a few months ago. I think they're doing too many events, too many fight nights. You don't need 4 events in 1 month. I would say 2 a month.
You said it a few months ago. I thought it around the same time. And then MMA Guru, I saw a video of him coming out and saying, eliminate some of the fight nights, eliminate some of the Apex things. I agree with all those takes. Obviously, I said it was an original thought of that I had a few months ago as well. What the fuck? You can't be filling up these fight nights.
They say have 10 to 12 fights on them too.
Right. You can't be filling up those and then have weak pay-per-views. I would see if the fight nights were filled up and the main events were cool, but then the pay-per-views were still stacked to the gills. But you can't, if you're not going to do both, give me the pay-per-views.
I would say this is more of a case of less is more with coming with the UFC.
Oh, yeah.
And this ESPN deal helping them financially but hurting them that they have to produce a card every week.
Right.
I think that's so stupid. I think you could do both and you'd be better off.
And then, maybe it's more of the UFC, the pay-per-views, the main cards are stacked. And use the fight nights to promote those up-and-coming fighters or something like that, because usually that's the guys those are the guys that show out too because they want the bonus.
Remember 5 years ago when we were watching people on even like a Sean O'Malley or somebody on a fight night who was the main event, and you're like, this guy's going to be a future champion, and now you're watching it's like Usman's a fight night guy. Usman is still one of the best fighters of all time in terms of his weight class and the run he went on. He should be a pay-per-view fighter.
And Buckley's like on a winning streak and this and that. Like this is kind of like, I know that weight class is interesting. There's a lot of guys that you could argue is a number one contender, but like this isn't in a way a number one contender fight, and it's like a fight night just randomly in June.
Now imagine
coming off of directly after a pay-per-view.
Could still be 5 rounds. I don't think they need to go like, I think number one contender fights can be 5 rounds. You don't want too many, but I think if you have on this card Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira, Pantoja Kai Kara-France, even Royval and Van. But instead of Dariush and Moicano or Talbot and Lima, you plug in Khalil Roundtree and Jamal Hill. That just makes it, to me,
I think
2 times as good of a card.
All main card fights should be 5 rounds. The main event should be 7. Or title fight should be 7.
You're getting fucking crazy over there, I
I
think.
mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
I love watching.
I think 5...
Boxing did that too, and then fucking 30 people wound up dead.
No, dead.
They woke up dead.
I think that 5 rounds is good enough. I think, winners get paid. Not only do they pay you and give you winners, they follow you back on Twitter.
Beautiful.
What a company, man.
Wow.
Regardless, I'm just saying they're doing way too many cards, I think. If ESPN's doing this, Dana White, that's where I feel like this whole boxing, he needs to step in and say, hey, listen, just based off of merit, Kamaru Usman should not be on a fucking fight night card, let alone anything besides a pay-per-view, let alone the week before International Fight Week or 2 weeks before International Fight Week. These guys need to be on pay-per-views. We'll stack up the pay-per-views. We'll do what we used to do and have these up-and-coming guys. Like Garbrandt, yeah, he's a fucking fight night guy now. It is what it is. But like
he should be a main event he should be a main event fight night guy. That's what I'm looking toward.
It's
Kevin
free.
Holland. Not that Kevin Holland's going to fight Cody Garbrandt, but like Cody Garbrandt, it's like he's a former champ. He was at this one point. Now you know his name. We're going to put him on the fight night. It's free. Tune in on ESPN on Saturday if you choose to do so.
You know, it should be
and
on...
the Apex feels like the Apex fight nights just feel lazily put together. Like we could put that together whenever you want. Have a guy in 2 weeks' notice. Like I still think if you're going to do a fight night, again, have it be less is more, have it less often, but have it be in Kansas City, have it be in Houston, have it be in these cities. Like there's so many cities that the UFC can go to, but they keep going.
Smaller cities you could feed.
October it's the Saudi. November, it's MSG. International Fight Week's Vegas. A couple other Vegas ones. You have Miami, you have New Jersey. It's like, they just went to Azerbaijan. Like, that's cool.
They said they love that place.
That was cool. You say what you want about what they're doing to Armenia. That's a whole nother topic. But they went there. They've been needing to go there. They have fighters from there and stuff like that, and they have it on a fight night. That's a great fight night. You didn't need the Usman one right before that. And I get June's International Fight Month, International Fight Week, all this bullshit. But like, I completely agree. We could have done with one less card and two more stacked pay-per-views this month.
I also think that they used to do stuff like on a fight night. O'Malley's from Arizona or lives there or whatever the case is. We're gonna fight in Arizona. Like
that's what I mean.
Like regional, like he was saying, regionally make it smarter for guys who are on the card.
Why would the Azerbaijan main event be Roundtree Hill? It should have been Fiziev.
Because of UFC success and because of the fact that they kind of lack a super... John Jones was the last superstar, I would say. Connor's gone.
Alex Pereira.
Yeah,
Jones.
for sure.
But you think he's on that level?
Like Topuria's,
he's in
that level now.
Like
Topuria was knocked out. A guy who's never
English speaking, because Pereira's his lack of English, they say, does hurt him internationally, like for American fans.
True.
And you say Dana now with the boxing thing, because there's a lot more money in boxing, regardless, and because he's not footing the bill, the princes are, that he's more like, this boxing thing seems more of a concern for me. Because boxing used to be like that, where the main event was the only main fight, and you're like, who's this? And when you look at a Saudi card, it's like, oh, this main card is 5 main events now.
It's pretty cool.
But now that they're doing the boxing thing, and if they're doing like a tough BJJ season with the pit and everything like that, maybe it's more on the fight nights. You sprinkle in some boxing and BJJ there, because I can't imagine people watching a 12-card BJJ fight or a 12-card boxing fight like one does.
One FC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be cool. I think they should do that. What I do think they need to do is still keep their they can't focus on these other things and lose focus on the UFC, which I believe they have done.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ilia Topuria should be a fucking superstar right now. He should be as big as Conor, as big as John Jones, as big as any name has ever been.
Why is he not fighting in Spain?
Why is he not fighting in Spain? Why is he not fighting in Georgia? Why is he not fighting in any of these places?
Him and Marab, you could have them both on a card in Georgia. You know,
they have other. I think Roman Kopulov's from Georgia. They have like other Georgian fighters.
They didn't.
Arman Sarukian was born in Georgia.
What about the African card they could have done?
They never.
That window.
That just goes back to the point we just made.
Usman and DDP.
Why are you not touching these cities, especially when you have guys that are superstars from these places?
You know what the problem is? You think you got time, and you don't got time.
Yeah.
When it comes, you take it, and if you don't, now, I mean, Izzy, love the guy to death. He's kind of on the same thing with Usman, where I think his next fight or two, depending on who it is, watch out for the odds. Usman, if we would have had picks, that would have been my lock of the week. Usman's not a bad fighter. He hasn't lost it. You have to look at like what I did with Poirier when he fought St. Denis. These guys he's not over the hill. Just
you
look
could
at who
still
he's
do
fighting.
an Usman and Adesanya card in Nigeria and stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying.
You could still do it.
It was if you had Francis, Izzy, and...
Have they fought in New Zealand? You've had...
Yeah. Or it's just Australia. Do they fight in New Zealand?
Like New Zealand. You've had a champ from there for so long and you never took him there. You know, you've had a champ from Nigeria for so long.
All the time.
You've had a champ from is Francis from Cameroon or Nigeria? I'm not sure which one, but you never took advantage of any of this.
No.
You know, you have a guy like we just said, who the two greatest, in my opinion, the top 2 featherweights of all time are Volk and Holloway. He just knocked out the 2 greatest featherweights of all time, 2 of the 3 for sure with Aldo.
Yeah.
Greatest featherweights of all time. In my opinion, that puts him eclipses that. He should be a star. Now he's like. I mean, he has And you can't say he doesn't have the gift of gab. I mean, this guy, the more he talks, the more I like him. I mean, he just fucking to sit there and go, no, Makhachev isn't running away from me. He's chasing his dreams. But if he does win that belt at 170, I will be going up and fighting him. It's like, holy shit. They just asked him about weight classes and weights and certain things moving up, and he said, if a guy on the street says something to my wife, I'm not going to ask him how much he weighs. I mean, he does. I love everything that comes out of his mouth. Pause. But he should be a superstar, but the promotion isn't there for him. They're not focused enough on making this guy a superstar.
And it's easy with him because I don't see him going off the rails. He really seems like he loves fighting. And like you said, like Conor, if they asked him the 170 thing, he probably would have answered it a lot differently just because you compare these stars to him.
With Jones and with Conor and with all these guys and Anderson Silva, another thing that makes them stars is when you watch their fights, you want to watch it again because they show up and put on a performance. This guy fucking murders people.
And
he mauls
he's
Max
never
Holloway.
thrown a body kick or a leg kick in his career.
Head kick. He throws leg kicks only.
Body kick or a head kick in his career. He only throws leg kicks. He is kind of like me and Danny are talking about. Like, I'm looking at him like this dude could be the fate. He speaks English well, which it sucks that is a thing with like.
First of all, he speaks Spanish, he speaks Georgian, and he speaks English. He's multilingual.
Spanish and English are the two big ones.
But his shit talk when it comes to like the Islam thing of is he running from you? He's like, no. What happened? And like he could have gone a whole different route with that. All these guys now sound so I would go to 170. It's like he's just honest about it. Like he seems very authentic, but he also is like, hey Max, we'll find out who the BMF is when we go out there. And then he goes out there, points at the center. If Max would have said yes, he wouldn't have like laughed and been like I was kidding. He would have struck with him for the first 30 seconds and been like, I'm gonna knock you out or you're gonna knock me out, and we're gonna go from there.
And we'll get into him talking about that in his fight assessment. And I agree with his fight assessment going into this at Topuria's. So
before that, I want to say, what are your guys' reactions to people like DC, Helwani, other MMA talking heads just kind of saying this hurts Jones's legacy? He's ducking.
Helwani's all about drama. I like him. I do like his interviews when he just sits down and asks questions and gets answers. But he wants, I get it, clickbait.
Everybody wants a clip of someone saying something that's either misinterpreted or straightforward that gets them like 10 million views and it turns a page of like, he said this on Helwani's podcast. So I get the question, but the problem is it's
something that Topuria's been asked 10 times over, talked about 10 times over. He said all he could about the Makhachev thing, and one of the first things he asked him is, do you think Makhachev is ducking you?
Yeah.
It's like he was looking for that. Let me get a clip. Let me get this. Let me get Topuria to say something fucking crazy on my show. And Topuria handled it perfectly and was just like, no, I'd be lying to you if I said I think Makhachev is running from me. And that's true. Makhachev would never run from anyone in a fight. Okay? And he's like, I think he's chasing his own things, and that's great for him. I'm doing the same. And if he wins that belt at 170, I'll go up there and I'll definitely try to meet him there.
Because who's fighting for the 145 belt now?
Volk is going to fight Yair Rodriguez.
Which I think there's a delay in that.
Anyone could say Yair, he's running from Yair.
I think it'll end up being Volk versus the winner of Diego and John Silva, which was just announced.
Yeah, that just got announced.
That won't make sense. But what do you guys... So John Jones' legacy between one... Do you think DC should really comment on John Jones' legacy?
Helwani wants the drama. That's why he said that. DC, he could sit there and I know Jones try to Jones. He hates John Jones. He fucking hates John Jones. I think the competitor in him hates the fact that outside of Stipe, his only losses, and even Stipe, he has 2 losses too, but he's also beat him and he had a close decision. So I think he's almost like happy with that. I moved up to heavyweight, lost to the GOAT, whatever. It is what it is. Being 0-2 against John Jones, being the only guy in mixed martial arts that you could never beat, and he whooped your ass twice, it hurts him. And John Jones is not a great guy when it comes to, say what you want. I think he's whatever. I don't know the man personally. We've seen some things. I think DC hates that motherfucker. And so when he comments on him or when Helwani comments on him, it's like you kind of has to be a little one ear out the other. If you say some valid things, you say it, but how could this hurt John Jones' legacy? How could it hurt
just by people saying
he's 30-0, double champ, longest reigning light heavyweight champion, technically longest by days heavyweight champion.
I don't think he's ducking Tom. I don't think John Jones would ever duck a fight. Dana White even said it. There's a lot. Jones is probably the only. He's like, most guys say things publicly they want this fight, and then it gets private. They don't really. He's the only guy that says the opposite. I don't think this smart. It's just, what does that fight do for me? And then private, he's like, I would like to fight that guy for the right payday.
I think they can all say what they want. It just doesn't hold any. It holds weight with.
Tom Aspinall even said, I agree with what John Jones says. My legacy's not there and his is. It does nothing for him. But I'm trying to build my, this. John Jones is like, I would rather fight Alex Pereira or Stipe Miocic or one of these like Francis, who have like a legacy, who have a name behind them, who sell more pay-per-views. Who,
to be fair though, what kind of legacy does Francis have?
That's true.
I think there is a part of John Jones that is like I just, and he did say it, but he's like, now I'm just doing it because this guy's been so annoying about it. I think that plays a factor in it too, but in no way, shape, or form do I think it's John's like, well, this guy's definitely like Francis is definitely a big threat. Mm-hmm. I mean,
but
he's definitely a big threat.
Stylistically, if Francis can hit him, but stylistically, I think for Francis, I think Tom's a better stylistic matchup against Jones than Francis is against Jones.
No, for sure.
Anyone that Jones could fight right now with the heavyweight division, Tom Aspinall is the worst matchup for Jones. Like, meaning, I think he wouldn't want to fight him most, but it don't matter.
I think what you saw with Gone is what you'd see with Francis.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty similar.
Like, people are like, because I don't understand the people like Francis weighs more than Gone. That's not how takedowns are about angles,
technique.
And if Nagano was able to take Gone down, and then we saw Nagano take down his fight in PFL, his only fight was a guy that had no takedown defense. It's like, what do you think Jones is going to do to this guy?
Yeah, there's levels.
You got anything else on that?
No, it doesn't hurt his legacy.
Like I
Nothing
said,
could hurt John.
Let us know if you
the only thing that he's hurt his legacy as much as he can hurt his legacy.
I think the thing is, I see a lot of people saying he's not the GOAT because of who he is in his personal life. I'm like, that has nothing to do with him.
I hate that too. Good friend, my best friend Michael. He thinks that John Jones not the GOAT because he's failed tests and he does this, and part of being a mixed martial artist is having the spirit of the fighting warrior, some gay shit. But like, to be honest, like, he's undefeated. No one can beat him. No one could touch him. You look at his run from 2011 to 2018. We were talking about it today. Let me go over the names.
The failing test to me is a thing if it's steroid-wise, but at the same time, if it's...
One was for cocaine.
After that, it's been proven, though, and whatever you want to call it, expunged about what was actually happening. But here's the thing. People look at him, they don't like him, so they're going to be like, oh, he's a steroid cheater.
And here's his title run.
Do we really think that every fighter is clean?
Exactly. Here's his title run from 2011 to 2018. Shogun Rua, Rampage Jackson, Lyoto Machida, Rashad Evans, Vitor Belfort, Chael Sonnen, Gustafsson, Glover Teixeira, DC, OSP, DC, Gustafsson again. No one's getting... There's no run
You're losing one fight.
You would lose one of those fights,
99% of people are losing one of those fights. If not 2, 3, or 4.
3 fights in 2011, 2 in 2012, 2 in 2013, 1 in 14, 1 in 15, 1 in 16, 1 in 17, 1 in 18. I mean, he won all of them.
Yeah, and pretty much 90% of those were very convincing fashion. There wasn't many, if any, where it was like, oh, well, did he... I mean, the Dominic Reyes fight for me was the closest of all of them, which is crazy to say.
If you include the DC no contest, 6 of those were by finishing him.
Right.
And there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think he just decided
5
he's one of those. He's, 37, 38 now. He's just like, I'd rather just live my life.
It has to be hard at some point, right? I mean...
Like, and exactly, because his thinking, too, is like, the only fight they're going to give me, Pereira lost, so that ruins it. Nagano's in a different promotion, so that ruins it. Aspinall could lose his next fight, and it's like, I would have wasted my time fighting this guy.
I think he should have fought Aspinall.
I do too.
Because that's the only guy in front of him that makes any sort of sense whatsoever besides Pereira. But at the same time, like, that's literally like Ilia. You don't think so? You don't think that Tom Aspinall should have fought, John Jones should have fought him?
I don't. I think it's more of like, that's the fight you want to see, but at the same point, like, why? Other than if you're a fight fan.
No, he's the interim champion, and John Jones is the champion.
And he's defended his interim.
Exactly
I think Jones could have retired earlier and just said he's not fighting anymore.
I agree. I agree
with that.
If I'm Jones,
if Jones wanted to fight again, it should have been like, hey man,
you're
fighting Aspinall or you're fighting.
Yeah, 100%. If he had a choice, I don't think Pereira or Nagano should be an option. It should be Tom Aspinall.
No, that's
the number one contender.
And as far as like the whole thing goes that we talked about with Aspinall, like let's just look at the scope. Let's say he goes for the next 3 title fights. Okay, let's say he fights Cyril Gane, Alexander Volkov. He's already beat Pavlovich. He's already beat Blades. And, either Cortez Acosta or Giant Almeida. Do you have Tom Aspinall not winning any of those fights?
No, that's why I said. For me, it's Jones and Aspinall. You think he might lose one of those?
Well, I don't have him losing.
I do like Cortez Acosta.
No. I'm just saying, if Jones... he even said I'm being an asshole about this, but for Tom Aspinall, I feel like he's been asking to fight. He's been asking for this. He's been asking for that. You're not going to say, well, the interim champ's going to fight someone who's actually deserving of the belt if it's not, because John Jones wants to do like a gimmick fight. It's like if John Jones wanted to do that, it's like don't take the belt and fight.
I think
Pereira
the way
at 225 and just do that.
The way DC feels about Jones is how Jones feels about Tom, which I think is unjustified. It's more Jones is annoyed that Aspinall is getting put in his name.
Right. Well, for a little while there, I was on the Aspinall just fucking go like 5 minutes without saying the guy's name. But at the same time, he's also like, well, dude, I'm a fighter and I'm trying to.
Well, he's also like, how much more money can I make than fighting this guy? Because if you just went down those heavyweights, does any of those fights excite you?
No.
Other than Aspinall Jones.
Only the fact that Tom Aspinall's involved in them. That's it.
Because the thing is,
but the A side of any Jones fight is Jones.
Yeah, but
Aspinall, Nagano, Pereira, you're like, I just want to see Jones fight again. I want to see the GOAT fight again and dominate another person.
Nothing to do with the other guys.
My only issue with Jones in this whole situation is it's like, dude,
don't dick around.
Right, either give up the belt. You really are holding the division.
He should have just stuck to his words. Like, I'm not fighting that guy. I'm interested in Alex Pereira fight. If Ngannou comes back, I'm interested in that. I'm not interested in Tom Aspinall, and that should have been his one and only answer.
Because when did he fight?
Stipe? After he fought Stipe in November during Yvette's birthday.
But it's time for this. There's got to be something going on here. What are we doing?
He should have never said I think I'm going to give you guys that fight. We're going to make it happen. Everyone was like, holy shit! He just announced a Tom Aspinall fight. He should have just been like, this is it for me, guys, or said we'll see what the future holds. Something.
And it could have been like you said. He got his number, and then he's been partying, and he's got the hit and run. He's like, fuck.
I do think that plays a big.
It was a game time decision.
Yeah.
What do you got here?
Let's get into the card.
What
was our picks on 316?
Well, that's what. Slow down there, champ.
Sorry, brother.
You got anything else, Jones? Anything?
Nothing for Jones. Do you guys have any recaps of any last cards you want to touch on?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Let's get into round 2 of this main event mindset here.
Make sure you subscribe, comment, send questions about that round 1.
We're going to go back to UFC 316, where Billy will give us the records here quickly for that card.
Going into round 2, before you do that, if this video gets 300 views and 15 comments, Power Slap, we just did a Power Slap card. Make sure you go tune into that. I'll let this fat, ugly piece of shit right next to me slap the living piss out of me. Live on camera, you guys will all get to see it. If the UFC, Power Slap, Dana White, all them allow it, Bryce Jones, he'll come on. Make sure you guys turn into the next Into Clinch. He'll recap this. He'll recap the Power Slap. Go Bryce Jones. He's fighting on Power Slap 13 on Friday. If they allow it, I'll let him slap the fucking piss out of me. That might kill me, but we'll see.
What do we have for the records for 316, Bill?
So in 316, myself, Eric, Danny, and Ryan all went 3-2. Drudy went 4-1.
So we got from 0-5 to 4-1, huh? That's what I call a turnaround.
And Drudy did send his picks for the Roundtree card because we were all excited about it, and he went 5-0. So he's a little bit on a hot streak, and we got his picks here. So maybe you go with the hot hand, especially if it's a fucking usually an idiot who's doing good.
Into 316, just kind of not going through it quickly, but Holland subbing Luque, I think that was a big, not statement win, but it looked really good for him to go out there and
I love that he said right after, I'm going to stay at welterweight.
Yeah, and I said before...
I think he could do some damage at welterweight. I mean, the JDM fight, he looked really good, and that's the champ now, so...
I said before
Wonder Boy,
fight,
he broke his hand, and didn't go to the ground with him, which I think...
170, the only fight where it's really looks bad for him was MVP kicked his fucking ass.
That's just a puzzle like we talked about.
It's a puzzle that's impossible to solve.
I do think that...
With MVP and Wonder Boy, he just uses grappling. We've seen him, his jiu-jitsu is phenomenal.
I think he might have missed the boat on the 170 thing, though, because you look at that top 5, I don't like him against Sean Brady. I don't like him against Shavkat Rakhmonov. I don't like him against Ian Gary. I don't like him against Kamaru Usman. I don't like him against Bilal Muhammad. I do not like him against that top 5. I don't like him. He even said it himself. He said all these undefeated up and coming guys keep me away from Michael Morales. I don't like him against Michael Morales. 170 is fucking stacked right now.
Yeah, I think he needs to.
And he lost to the champ already, so I think he might have missed the boat. But still, stay at 170 and fight up. That's all you can do.
I think he needs to really lock in at 170 and slowly but surely try to work his way up the rankings. And at this point in his career, he has to be insanely dedicated to going in and kind of winning these fights in a way that people might not love to watch, because that's really his only shot. Him going in with the 5 year ago mindset of I'm just going to talk shit to you and see who can bang and do this and that. These guys are too skilled and too good for that.
And how old is he? 31 now, probably. You got
early 30s.
You got 2, 3, 4 years left at your chance. Commit to it for 2, 3, 4 years, and if you don't get it, we all love you. You gave it your all. I love how much he fights. I love his style. I love hearing him talk. I like that he called out Colby. I think he's a smart guy when it comes to the fights he takes. I hope he stays at 170. I really think he could do some damage. I don't like him against that top 5 plus Morales and all those guys, but you never know.
what I like about him is that I could see him getting a title fight the same way like a Strickland or JDM got a title fight. Is
one fight, talk, and then get in.
No, like an injury.
Oh, other guys pull out.
Other guys pull out. He's on he's beating some guys. Like he's come in. Let's say he beats a Colby. Maybe he even beats an Ian Gary or something like that, or Buckley again, because I think that's a nice.
See him having a nice.
I think that's a nice rematch. Him and Buckley at 170 because they fought at 185 previously, and then it's like we have, let's say, Usman. It's gonna be Usman Islam probably. Let's say as a thing, and Usman gets hurt, or even Islam gets hurt, and he's like, let me step up and do that. Usman and Islam.
Yeah.
Usman says he deserves a title fight. So,
would they fight though?
And he's talking about JDM losing, so. Sounds like Usman would fight him.
Because they both have Ali as their manager, and they both train a lot together, and, they're good to do this and that. I believe, is Usman Muslim? I think they have a lot of connections, is what I'm trying to say.
Is he Muslim?
Yeah.
I don't think so. But I could be wrong. The next fight on that card, though, Mario Batista as a plus 160 underdog beat Patchy Mix, who... If you had never seen anything of Patchy Mix before and you just listened to what was happening with him coming into the fight, you would have thought you were about to watch a guy who's going to kill Mario Batista, beat one other person, and just wipe through the whole bantamweight division and be fighting for a title very soon. He looked like somebody who has never fought any other human in his entire life before during this fight.
If he fought me the way he fought Mario Batista that night, I would kick his fucking ass.
I was told and under the impression watching his other fights that his ground game and he didn't move his head. It was just 1-2s. Like if Batista just kept throwing 1-2s, he probably would have knocked him out. But Patchy, the third round brought a little bit more. But I don't think I've ever been more disappointed. Do
you think the lights are too bright for some of these Bellator guys?
Might be.
What I was gonna say was, do not ever, under any circumstance, ever bet a Bellator guy coming into the UFC on his first fight. Because a guy like Michael Chandler fought Dan Hooker and knocked him out. Then you got a guy like this who came in and fucking was supposed to minus 190 favorite. People were like, you're going to see something insane, and he looked horrible. MVP came in and beat Kevin Holland, who was an underdog in that fight. Like,
Pitbull looked
Pitbull's 0-1. Patchy's 0-1. MVP's 2-1.
Chandler came in and went 1-0. I'm talking their first fight.
What's Chandler? 2-4 though. Like these former champs of Bellator have not been successful.
Until you see their first fight in the UFC, I'm just saying for myself, I think I've bet on pretty much all those people's first fights coming in, and only one I won was Chandler. But these guys, I don't know what. You can't predict it.
Like you said, these former champs. Do you think they're coming over too late though? Late in their career,
that's
at the
factor.
age.
You can't sit there.
The only guy that I can say is in his prime right now would be Aaron Pico.
That's coming over for sure. Nurmagomedov. Usman, Nurmagomedov, he'll be coming over soon. The plan for him, I believe their plan is for him to come over, take over the 155 division once Islam's done.
Locked it at 170.
But yeah, Patchy Mix was probably the most disappointing situation that happened on this card. Pyfer beat Gastelum. Gastelum has unbelievable chin and toughness.
Pyfer seems like a one-trick pony.
Yes, 100%. But he beat him by unanimous decision.
You don't have to wrap your hands. Did you know that?
I did not. It seems like a bad idea.
It's not like required to have a heavily wrapped hand. Like there's like a certain level of wrapping, but it's really basically you don't have to wrap your hands under those gloves. And Joe Pyfer does not wrap his hands.
Well, that it could go good or bad for you.
Yeah, Dillashaw was saying no. You want to wrap those hands. That's fucking psychotic to not wrap them.
Yeah, because it takes one shot to break your hand, and now you're completely.
But he doesn't wrap them, and that guy throws hard.
Yeah, he does.
Gastelum felt it.
But Gastelum,
a bare knuckle from that guy, essentially a bare knuckle from that guy, the way he throws is a fucking nightmare.
Kayla Harrison came in and submitted Juliana Pena. We did get a Amanda Nunes walk into the octagon, and it looks like that's going to be the next fight.
I'm excited for that. It's the first women's fight I've been excited for in a long time.
I was going to say, I think that's one of the first women's fight in a while that I'm like, that could be a main event, and I'd be like, fuck. I mean, it's kind of hard to like argue that.
Kayla ragdolled her, and then she pulled that Kimura last second out of nowhere, and I was impressed by her submission grappling.
I'll take Amanda in that fight.
I'm really glad I didn't pick Juliana because I was about to come on here and pick Juliana and Sean, which I did pick, and
I'm so disappointed. I look back at my breakdown of the Merab fight, Sean, and I said, I compared it to the Fiziev Gaethje fight where it's like Fiziev has already lost to this guy, and now he's coming off an injury. How is he going to beat Justin Gaethje? When you've already lost to this guy at your best, now you're coming off an injury. And that's exactly what this. And I was like, this is the same fight, but and I just convinced myself that Sean.
That was the
O'Malley,
opposite because Sean was hurt the first time. So that's where it not.
But
that
I meant coming off of surgery. That's what I meant.
Oh
to say.
yeah.
So Sean's coming off of surgery.
But he said he was healthier in this fight, and it was going to show. And we all, I don't want to say believed it, but I think it sucks.
I thought he was going to implement what he did in the 5th round of the first fight. The body kicks, everything.
I thought that he still looked good in moments of this, but Merab is just.
And the first round when he got up, I was like, oh, both those hips are healthy. Okay, then he's got it.
Right. It was just a matter for me of like, and I hate saying this because I don't know anybody personally, but I think that Merab has this like Khabib mindset where it's like, I'm not going to lose, and if I do, it's going to be the worst night of the other guy's life. I feel like Sean and some of these guys get down, and I understand they're tired, but it's like, he just doesn't look like he has like the...
Seemed like an easy tap to me.
And I just think after the fight, it's like, this is so disappointing. It's like, you didn't even really look like you.
I think...
Like, it was that
I
big
can't
of a
blame
deal.
him when he's a multimillionaire, he's famous, he's got this and that. Like, how dedicated to fighting
Well, I think also you see when you fight a guy like Merab or Khabib, like you saw Dustin against Khabib when he got taken down, he kind of looked over. I think that type of style just wears on you where you're like, fuck, like I'm not going to be...
Oh, Sean said it. He's like, he felt so compact, so strong. It was like, fuck.
If I get up, I'm going to have to do this again. He's on me again. Now I got to figure out how to get up again and everything like that. But I do think it's interesting to see... In all sports, I don't think we give them enough credit that they start so young.
Yeah.
That we see these guys grow up before, like we get on like quarterbacks for being immature or not doing the right thing. It's like he's 22 years old.
Right.
Give him a break. Sean's the same thing. Where Sean said he was watching Cody Garbrandt. And he's like, "Oh fuck, is this how I look to people? I have the cornrows. I have face tattoos. Fuck, I even dye my hair and shit. Like, oh, I'm so corny." And it's like, no, you were growing up. You were trying to make a name for yourself, get your name out there.
Right.
But it's like interesting to see him grow up. But is him growing up like Woodley grew up and is like, I don't have the desire to really go through
And
this
they
shit.
say the age you become famous is like the eldest you ever be. So he's been 24 years old since he's fucking...
My only issue is, this was one of those where I really felt like he was going to come in and, like, now I kind of feel like it's like...
I thought he put up a pretty good couple rounds.
He's never going to beat Merab.
I just think that...
They
That's
fought
like
100
you
times.
said.
I think he loses 100 times.
I agree. That style makes you give up. I think that style, like I think Leon Edwards and Sean O'Malley's taps were kind of weak. I think Leon just gave up against Sean Brady and said, "I don't want to do a 5th round of this."
Right.
And I think O'Malley gave up, like, I don't want to keep it. What am I going to do next round?
I don't know. That choke was pretty tight. I think
It was tight.
I don't
think O'Malley's a quitter. I think he would rather go to sleep if that fight was neck and neck. But if the fact that he just kept going down,
he was probably like, "I'm not. This is going to be it for fucking."
He was like, "I'm probably going to go to sleep here, but fuck this. Let's just call it."
My only advice to these guys, which is what I like about Ilia, is focus on your current division, on your current sport. Like these guys, they saw Connor's rise and they think like, "Oh, I'm going to hop divisions. I'm going to fight. I'm going to box people."
Gervonta Davis and all this. He won one title fight and he was going to box Gervonta Davis and move up and take the belt from Volkanovski.
He was going to fight Ryan Garcia and shit like that. It's like, guys, Connor wasn't even talking like that till after the fact. He won the 145 belt.
He fought a 170 fight. He fought Nate.
He was going to fight the 155 belt, and that was it.
155 belt. He won the belt and all this. And then he's like, "No, I can go. I've won 2 belts. I've made my name. I'm the biggest superstar in this. I fought in 3 divisions. I've done all this and that and that and this. I can go fight." And Floyd Mayweather's the bigger name than anybody we just mentioned in boxing. And he wants to fight me, and I want to fight him.
Floyd was retired, but looking to have that 50-0 record, so he was like, "This is the biggest guy in combat sports."
Just focus, like you said. Focus on your division. Focus on what you're doing. Speaking of your division, I do think Sean should put on... I think Sean's got a skinny, lengthy build, which is good in some ways, but I do think he could put on some muscle mass. If he can add 10,
will be good.
If he can add 10 to 15 pounds of preferably muscle, 145 would be great for him. Especially with the spot it's in right now, where like guys like Diego Lopez and Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez are fighting for the belt consistently. That's the matchups I love for Sean O'Malley right there.
I don't know, man. I think those guys are probably too technically good and strong for... I don't know. I don't see him...
I think O'Malley would be a tough fucker for Volkanovski to fight.
Volkanovski. But even then, I think if Volkanovski went to take him down, I think he would fuck him up.
I think Diego Lopez.
But I don't think Volkanovski has that.
Sean O'Malley's a fun fight. Sean's a fun fight.
The one I would fear most for Sean O'Malley is probably Jean Silva because of his grappling.
That's what I'm saying. I think it wouldn't matter. I think he'd get up to a certain level. It's probably the same here, where it's like, now, I mean, for him, if I were him, I would be doing fights like Max Holloway and stuff where it's like, I'm getting money and
He ain't gonna take me down.
Because I don't think he's going to be a champion again, to be honest with you. I don't think he's got the skill
I definitely
set.
don't think he will be at 135.
I don't think he will at 145 either. I don't think he beats Diego Lopez. I don't think he beats Silva.
I think with the things going slow at 145, if Volk wants to fight right now, if O'Malley said, "Can I just have a title shot?" and they said yes, I do think he'd win that fight.
I don't think he'd win it, but I think he has. I think that's his best chance to win it for sure.
Especially because Volk's aged 3+ years ago, I would have said, "Fuck no, are you crazy?"
But also, you have to think, Sean hasn't really fought. Like imagine Volk hitting Sean with an overhand right in the chin. He could probably knock him out also.
I think Sean's probably. I think
like Volk is a 205-pound rugby player who's
he
like,
fought at
I'm just
155.
saying,
He's fought Islam. He's put up good fights. Yeah, I'm not gonna say Piotr Jan's.
I think his chin and his situation would help Sean a lot. I'm just saying, I think him going up to 145, he'd be in for more of a rude awakening than we might think.
Yeah.
But I love him to death. I'm not saying I don't. Beyond that, we had a couple, which we talked about a little earlier, of fight nights. Do you guys have anything else for 316 before we get into just a quick recap of Buckley and Usman and Hill and Roundtree?
I'm going to jump
Take
in
that
there.
as a no. Usman comes in. I said this earlier as well. I really felt like him being plus 175 was way too.
I'll just say that
way too big of an
I
underdog.
love Roundtree.
Yeah.
He fought with a torn meniscus. I love everything about it.
But I don't think Usman's this guy that's like done yet by any means. Especially when he fights a guy like Buckley, and it's like, dude, I can still.
I wanted to see
wrestle.
what his knees look like.
Yeah, he's like
I
that's
told
so,
you, shut the fuck up down my knee.
right. Like I think that's kind of too overblown, but at the same time, I do see there being a fight
I do
where
think
he
Islam
explodes one time and he's done.
I do think Islam wins the title fight against JDM, and I don't think Usman. But fuck, man, Usman looked good against Hamzat at 185, didn't he?
He did. That's
So
what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
know.
I don't
That
know
was
what-
5 rounds. He might beat Hamzat.
I think he does beat Hamzat, and I'll tell you what, I was like keen on Hamzat, and I probably still will pick him, but
Maybe Usman after the Hamzat fight, if they're gonna make Ilia Islam at 170, can I go up to 185 then and fight Hamzat, Dana?
will he beat DDP? Is what I'm saying. Hamzat. I don't know about.
I think that's going to be a better fight than we might think.
That's one of those where DDP is this weird fighter.
But I think Hamzat's going to do what he did against Kevin Holland and run right at his fucking hips.
I mean, DDP is another guy that's awesome. He was like, I was seeing people evaluate like how I step in, and he was like, I didn't even know I'm doing that. Like, I'm not doing that on
He's
purpose.
off getting drunk and shit.
Yeah,
It's just fantastic.
he's just good at fighting.
But yeah, Usman I thought looked really good, and then Roundtree. One thing I want to say is with
One thing I want to know, like Buckley, just all these UFC fighters, how do you not have any takedown defense?
It's
I saw
miraculous.
Usman. Buckley was behind the black line, and I'm not exaggerating. Usman was towards the middle of the octagon and just dove. And then one of the times he did those lazy, like where you kind of fake, like you're gonna take down, like he did that and actually got the single. Like Buckley didn't move, and he was like, "Well, fuck, I guess I'm gonna take him down."
if he does it, I'm going to take it. What I was going to say was
Usman was more shocked that it worked.
Maybe Buckley had a big bet on Usman.
with Jamal Hill and the Roundtree fight, I feel like I think I thought this a long time ago, but the Hill thing, like I feel like it's time. He loses like 2 or 3 fights in a row, and then it's like, all right, let's put this guy to bed.
3 in a row against the 3 best probably strikers of that division.
And then he said to Roundtree after, like, why didn't you engage? And it's like, well, A, you could have just ran at me if you really wanted it like that, and B, like, I mean, you just sound like an asshole.
Yeah.
I don't know what does he want. Let's just sit there and throw in the middle, just crazy.
He didn't make that apparent, though, at all during the fight.
No.
He waited till after, then he was
didn't.
like, he beat me, and now I have to be like, oh, man, you were running. And it's like, well, no, not
And let's
really.
remember, he lost to Paul Craig. He beat a 42-year-old Glover Teixeira, and he's lost to 3 of the top 3 fighters in light heavyweight.
after his torn Achilles, he's 0-3. Let's just remember that.
Or Achilles.
Do you guys have anything else for that card or any cards before 3, what
No.
about 17?
Let's get
Danny mentioned Buckley placing a bet. Where should you go for your bets, Dan, or your picks?
winnersgetpaid.com. Professional bets. 7-day free trial. After that, $10 a week.
And they follow you back on social media.
There you go.
Let's get into round 3 here. We're going to discuss the main card of UFC 317.
Before you get into round 3, make sure you subscribe, comment, and send any questions if you have not yet.
I was going to get into that.
Bang.
Thank you.
Sorry.
UFC 317. Before we get into that, what's the records for the year now, Bill?
For the year, Danny and I are 15-15.
I'm not happy with myself, man.
Drudy is 14-11. Ryan's 10-5. Eric is 17-13.
Drudy was what?
14-11.
So he missed a card.
He's card back.
Okay. And I'm 17-13.
You are.
And you're what? 15-15?
Yeah.
Jeez.
That can change really fast.
No, it can. I think it might. I think it might with this card. It has a possibility to. Tracy Cortez does fight on this card. Yep. She is fighting another female that. I mean, I would do it, but
I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't tell you guys about it.
Yeah, but I mean, she's not Paige Van Zandt, but you know what I mean.
If you had to pay, we'll get into that later.
Anything you guys have before we get into the main card and our picks?
No, let's get right into them.
All right, we have Peyton Talbot as a plus 165 underdog against Felipe Lima from Brazil. America versus Brazil.
Gotta be Felipe.
Well, it could be.
Right.
What I say it is.
Bill, who you leading it off with?
I'm gonna go with Felipe Lima. He's 14-1. He's on a 14-fight win streak. I'm gonna go with him.
He also has a good ground game.
Yes.
I saw he has a high takedown percentage, high takedown attempt. If you watch Peyton Talbot's last fight, he does not have a good ground game.
No.
I think he's got a lot of a name to him. I think he's an exciting fighter, and I do think he is good, Peyton Talbot, and I do think this is a good matchup, and I think those odds are right to be plus 165, minus 195. But I'm going to go with Lima as well.
I'm also going to take Lima, and Drudy will be taking Lima. So everybody on Lima for right now. We don't know Ryan's picks, but we will comment those.
And this might be a little bit of they're trying to skyrocket Talbot. There might be a little bit where he bit off a bit more than he can chew here. Because Lima was supposed to fight a ranked fighter on this, Jonathan Martinez. So he's in this realm of I should be ranked. I should be moving up toward a... Talbot's not there yet. He probably needs 2 more wins before he gets a ranked fighter.
There are rumors that Frank Ocean and Peyton Talbot are dating.
I believe they are.
Make sure you comment your picks as well on this main card so we can all call each other stupid or smart whenever your picks are right or wrong.
It'd be nice to get a new Frank Ocean album.
They're dating?
Yeah, that's rumored.
They've been linked together.
Peyton
He was at his last fight.
Oh, okay.
He posted him on his Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
For the next matchup here, we have Beneil Dariush, who I disagree with having an American flag next to his name, fighting Renato Moicano.
Why do you disagree with that?
I don't think he was born in America.
I'm 95% sure he doesn't speak any other languages. Beneil Dariush was born in Yorba Linda, California. Oh, no, he was born in Iran.
Right.
Oh. Not good. If we've ever had an enemy.
That's what I'm saying. Is that something we put on here as where you're from? Could I say that I'm from Switzerland and just put how does that work? What's the definition of where you put the flag next to your name?
He probably just says he doesn't agree with Iran's regime, and he's I don't want to say I'm from there. I live in California.
No, I'm just that's fair. I don't.
It could be something like that.
I
he could be
if
he's an American citizen.
Yeah, that's okay.
He didn't learn English until he was 9, and they immigrated from Iran.
So he is fighting Renato Moicano. Pretty much a coin flip on the odds here.
He's Christian, so I imagine he had to get out of there.
I think that this is my favorite pick of the card in terms of... Well, actually, no. It's my it's a tie.
It's definitely not my favorite pick.
It's not. It's my second favorite.
I think... first of all... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think people are overlooking Dariush here.
I could see that. I just don't like him, so... I
get that you don't like him just for...
Personally.
Because he's...
No. I just don't like him because I don't think he's very good. He was moved up in who did he he lost to Charles. And it was this guy, he's coming in. Charles is maybe on the way out. It's kind of a St. Denis thing where I'm I just don't like you.
This is not the time for him, yeah.
Right. It's not your time. But I like Moicano a lot. I'm taking Moicano.
I'm also going to go with Moicano. But I think this is a closer fight than people are making it out to be.
So you sure you want to do that?
I think people are Moicano. I'm not putting him on my parlay. Winnersgetpaid.com. They're not going to pick Moicano for the fucking free bet. Tell you that much. Moicano, I like him in this fight, but Dariush's look better at times. I do think these odds should be even. I think that's a perfect line. If anything, I like the over in this fight. What are the odds there?
I don't know. You'd have to check that out. While he's doing that, Bill, who do you got?
And my first instinct was to think that Dariush was a lot older than Moicano. They're the same age.
He just looks old because of his hair.
Yeah. And it is one of those where Dariush's last win was Gamrot, which is not that impressive, but he did lose to Charles and Armin, which is he's losing to top contenders. And Moicano, his best wins are Jalen Turner, Benoit Saint Denis.
All his losses are great, though.
And all his losses are impressive. It's his last fight against Islam. You lost to Islam.
Just look at the names. Name off his last 5 losses. Do you have that?
I do not have that.
By
right
the
now.
way, Barnell Dariush is slightly the favorite live at -105. Moicano's minus 20. Or no, Moicano would be the favorite there, -25. I think that she's just getting bet on. But
You want his last 5 losses?
over and under or even at -115, yeah. I don't know. It's just
His last 5 are.
For what, 2.5?
His last 5 losses are to
probably, yeah.
Islam, RDA, in 2022, Fiziev in 2020, a Young Cheng Sung in 2019, and then Aldo in 2019.
Yeah, that's, at least 4 of those 5 names are.
He lost to Ortega a couple fights before that in 2017.
So yeah, he's kind of lost to the who's who of the fighting world. You took who in that fight, Danny?
I took Moicano.
So we all took Moicano. Drudy also took Moicano.
Jung Chang Song is Korean Zombie.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Moicano, I think, though, just because I think Dariush is done.
I'm not in love with that pick, is what I'm saying.
The hump day fight of this card, we have Brandon Royval and Joshua Van. Quickly became a huge fan of Joshua Van.
Oh, I love it.
And this is my favorite bet in terms of odds on this fight.
Wow,
I think
you took the words out of my mouth.
I think Joshua Van comes in and steamrolls.
Odds-wise, I
Royval.
was going to say, I don't think he steamrolls him. Brandon Royval is one of those guys that's been here a long fucking time, and he seems to be able to beat everybody except for a champion. But I do like Joshua Van in this fight, and I got short odds at -120. For odds-wise, I do like him the most.
Drudy has Royval in this fight, so the first difference that we have on the card would
We're
be
going to go... No, we're not.
him taking Royval, us two taking Van. Bill?
Yeah, I think Royval is a top contender, and like we said, he's only lost to the champ, but Van seems like he's high rising. He's fought 2 weeks ago only, 3 weeks ago only,
He fought on O'Malley's card.
and it's just like this guy he knows he gets a title shot with this, so I'm gonna go with Van.
He's all systems go right now.
What I
Yeah,
like about his Van is an all-around fighter, and like if you watch the Pantoja Royval fights, like he just got his molly-whopped. I'm gonna name some of Brandon Royval's last losses. Okay, he lost in 2018. Since then, he went on a 4 fight win streak. Lost to Brandon Moreno. Okay, pretty notable name there. His next fight, he lost to Alexandre Pantoja. Went on a 3 fight win streak, fought for the title, and lost to Alexandre Pantoja. He's since beat Brandon Moreno and Tayara, so he's fighting a number 1 contender fight right now for a 3 fight win streak to go back for the title. He's a good fighter.
I like the fact, too, that they have that fight, and then right after that is Pantoja and Kai Kara-France.
We're gonna
You're
find
kind of
out.
seeing the matchup make itself.
The
That's
winners
where I
are
was-
fighting each other.
That's where I was talking about.
I like seeing that a lot more.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I feel like the UFC could have went with these type of cards. Is like, hey, you're gonna fight this guy, I actually want to ask you guys something about this after.
The guy, let's say Van wins, he
He
calls
has a
out
chance on the
the
mic.
next one. Let me call him out. Pantoja or Kai Kara-France win. Van can come walk in the cage,
Right.
or Royval, whoever wins.
Now for the next fight, we have Pantoja Kai Kara-France. Pantoja's -250. Oh, with that fight, I think I did say this. Drudy took Royval. He is taking Pantoja on this fight. Bill, who you got?
I thought Kai Kara-France's last few fights I thought he had a lot longer win streak than what I'm seeing.
Oh.
He's not at all. And I think that the best striker that Pantoja was going to see was Asakura in his last fight. And he beat him. I don't see Kai Kara-France do anything better than Asakura. I'm going
He has
with
more pop.
Pantoja.
He has more pop than Asakura. And I think he has a little bit more base. He has a little bit harder to take down than Asakura. Asakura went down like that, a sack of potatoes. I also think, the Brandon Moreno, he was winning against Brandon Moreno in the first couple rounds, I thought. And then Moreno hit him with a mean liver kick, and it was over. I think a lot of people thought he won that split decision against Amir, that he might have been a little robbed there. And then a very big win against Urseg. And I think Kai Kara-France deserves to be here, but I will take Pantoja. I think he's coming in he'll probably go down as after this win, the second best flyweight of all time, behind Demetrius Johnson.
Pantoja has 29 wins, 19 by finish, 8 KOs, 11 subs. He's never been finished in a fight, so he's only lost by decision.
He's a great fighter. Some guys figure it out at a certain point in their careers. Some guys, because he's 29-5, there's points in there where obviously he might have lost here. What's going on? Now he's 35 years old. That's a bit old. What does he qualify for? Like the Volkanovski thing, where what is it? Fighters, you know what I'm talking about? 170 and below are like now 2-14 in title fights if they're 35 or older.
Yeah.
Does he qualify for that? Do we know? because age gets scary, but he's at a point where I feel like he's figured it out. And he might have a year or two left of that figure being figured out.
The thing maybe at a late prime.
Right.
So you guys, all three of you are taking Pantoja.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little different here, and I'm going to take Kai Kara-France. I think Kai Kara-France gets it done. I'm okay to lose if this is the fight that I lose it on, but I think after getting that one championship fight under his belt, I don't know. I'm feeling it's his time, and I really hope he wins this fight because I like him a lot as a fighter. He's one of my favorites. Now going into the main event.
So it said Volkanovski is the first male fighter aged 35 or older to win a UFC title fight at any weight class below welterweight. So this would make Pantoja the second fighter to do that.
At 35 or older.
Yeah.
Win a title fight at.
And I'm still going to go with him.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of, you'd have to look at the fights. I mean, obviously when it's everybody that lost, it's also kind of alarming. I'm glad to have that stat on my side. The main event, I think, we could just wait till after the show.
You're right.
To drink the water bottle.
You are right.
Ilia is now minus 525 against Charles. Jesus. Charles said he's going to walk forward towards Ilia.
I'll put that at minus 5,025 then.
I might go ahead and, I don't know if I can do first round finish, but I think it's first or second round finish. If this also sucks because Charles could walk in, get hit with one jab, and be like, oh man, I need to rethink this, and then it go 3 or 4 rounds. But, I mean, Charles gets clipped a lot. He gets wobbled a lot. And I think this is probably the worst guy possibly in the history of the UFC at this weight class to be fighting when you get wobbled.
When you have a questionable chin, you do not want to fight Ilia Topuria.
Right.
I also, people go, well, he got wobbled against Dustin, he got wobbled against Justin, he got wobbled against Michael Chandler. But those guys, they're not so eager to go to the ground once he's there. Justin Gaethje told him to stand up. They were all very hesitant to go down there. They didn't go down there looking to finish the fight. I think Chandler kind of went down, but he didn't go down the way he should have. Then Charles Oliveira ended up getting his back, and then he did the infamous kind of back slam and goes to round 2. Charles ends the fight. I agree with Topuria that his grappling's better than Charles Oliveira. In a sense of, if this was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match, Oliveira would win. But how are you getting to the ground? Are you getting to the ground from a right hand or a left hand from Ilia Topuria? If that's the case, your jiu-jitsu is not going to matter when you don't know what fucking planet you are on. Topuria is not going to be scared to go to finish the fight once he gets him down there. I think he finishes his first round. I'd be surprised if it goes to the second. If he does, he'll finish him there. I said it in the preview for the O'Malley card. You can go back and watch. I said you can make those odds minus 10,000. I wouldn't bet on Charles. I don't think he stands a chance in this fight. I'm going Ilia Topuria. No disrespect to Charles, huge fan of him, but I think this is a nightmare matchup for Charles. He also would. How old is he?
Charles?
35.
Yeah, he's 35.
So he would fall under. He would if he would be also in that category of guys who have never won a title fight at 35 or older under welterweight. So everything you can think of sounds like it goes Ilia's way, no?
I think for me, I'm trying to think of recent memory. This would be the most surprising fight if Ilia loses this fight.
Yeah.
Barring a leg kick that's checked. I'm talking if he gets even submitted to the, I would be very surprised if Ilia goes down after he hurts Charles and gets put in a triangle choke or any sort of submission. I just don't. I love Charles. I thought Charles beat Arman, who is the backup fighter for this fight. I thought Charles, was going to go on I don't want to say a longer run, but I think he's one of the best fighters of all time in terms of he's fought super long and he's still up as a contender and he's fighting for a title.
And he's one of the best lightweights of all time as well.
But I just think, fuck, it's his time's coming up and Ilia's literally just his stock could not be rising at a more rapid rate.
Yeah, on Stations. So this isn't a bold statement I'm going to make, and Stations agrees with me. For the main card, they have Pantoja minus 230, Moicano minus 125, Lima minus 200. What fight am I missing there? Van?
Yeah.
Van minus 125. And then, so I was going to say that Ilia's my most competent pick on the main card. Stations backs that up. They have Ilia minus 450. Easily the biggest favorite on the card. I think he should be. I got Ilia. This is an easy decision for me. Yeah, sorry, Charles. I do not want to sound disrespectful to Charles. He's one of my favorite
Charles'
fighters.
knees, Muay Thai knees, or his 5-inch reach does anything for him in terms of striking?
I'll tell you right now, Charles has pop. He said he hits harder than Ilia. There's a chance that's true. Charles has, people forget, he's knocked down a lot of those guys we just named, too. He knocked out Michael Chandler, who's not easy to knock out. He knocked out Justin Gaethje, who's not easy to knock out. He's got some pop, too.
Did he choke Justin out or knock him out?
He choked him out on the ground, but he knocked him down, sorry.
Yeah.
He put these guys on their ass.
He doesn't take him down to get him to the ground.
No.
He did take down Dustin. He got his back.
He'll punch you in the face and put you on your fucking ass. And it doesn't matter the chin you have in previous fights. He looked horrific against Islam, and I think the closest matchup he's had to Islam and the toughest fight he has outside of Islam is Ilia Topuria.
Right.
And I don't think Islam, in his hands, has the pop that Ilia does. And Islam was able to put him on his fucking ass when he got down there. I think he's screwed.
Well, here's my thing with Charles is his last fight with Michael Chandler, he won it probably, 49-46, 50-45.
Yeah.
But throughout that fight, you're like, Charles is going to get hit. Like, you don't ever watch Charles even win, and you're like, when's he going to...
There's some things I liked. Here's what let's say I was playing devil's advocate and trying to say, here's why Charles is going to win the fight. He had those front knee kicks against Chandler, which damn near, I thought he tore his ACL a couple times. The way Ilia has a typical orthodox boxing stance, that front knee kick, oblique kind of kick, could really, really fuck with Ilia Topuria. That could be a nightmare for Ilia Topuria and make him think, I don't want to walk toward this guy anymore. He's comes great. Forward. When has Ilia fought and had someone come toward him?
Charles is great at avoiding leg kicks as well.
Charles is great at avoiding leg kicks.
And returning with a shot.
He's also not shy at taking you down if the fight's not going his way. Okay? Now, I think Ilia is a great grappler, so that's another story. But Charles has pop. Pop at 145 is different from pop at 155. I would argue this is probably the most pop Ilia's fought. I think he had the most power Ilia's fought against. Ilia's got one fight in the UFC at 155. It's the only time he's been dropped on his fucking ass by Jai Herbert. That was a head kick. But it's still, you went to 155, felt the power.
I think we saw that with Conor, where the shots he was hitting 145ers with, that knocking him out, he hit 155ers there, and it's like, oh, I got to fight full 5 rounds.
Right. And here's another, I'll play devil's advocate. Ilia's 2 title wins are coming off guys whose most recent fights were at 155, Max Holloway and Volkanovski. And Max Holloway looked like the weight cut was just that much more brutal because of that. And Volkanovski was coming off a fresh knockout like 3-4 months earlier than that. So how impressed are you by those wins? I'm impressed by them, but there's a lot of arguments to be made by Charles that maybe these odds should be shorter and maybe he has a real chance. I don't think he does, though. I'm sorry.
I think what we mentioned earlier is that Ilia doesn't throw body kicks or head kicks.
He knows what he does.
Well, I think it's because you see with his punches, you see a Gaethje punch is wide looping. Ilia's punches are the boxer tight.
By far and wide the best boxer in the UFC.
Tight, use my hips. Ilia never gets out of position. He's not gonna throw a head kick and leave his leg up there for it to be grabbed. He's not gonna throw a body kick and risk some guy taking him down. He throws leg kicks so he can stay in position, and his punches are all tight.
And that European style of boxing is like pop out, pop out. He has that more like Mexican style where he's following through and coming back with a punch. He's punching through you. He's not popping you. He's not sticking and moving. He's punching through you, and he's throwing 6, 7, 8, 9 punch combos.
Well, that's where you see a lot of these guys go for 1, maybe 2 punch combos. He's stringing them together.
Yeah, he said it himself. A lot of guys have a 1-2, maybe a 1-2-3. I have a 1-2, 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 4, 5, 6, 1-2, 1-2-3. I have 5, 6, 7, 8, and that doesn't even mention my leg kick I started out with.
And I saw a recent comment on Reddit. People forget Volk was beating Ilia until he got knocked out. It's like
in the second round.
Well, I was like Volk was avoiding Ilia up until that
Volk
point.
Was beating him, but he was.
No, I would say he's up on the scorecard, but because he was playing it safe.
You could argue Max Ilia was a great fight, but these were second, third round knockouts. And these are not the fighters that Charles Oliveira is.
This isn't a situation where
these are 2 great fighters. Charles is another great fighter.
This isn't a situation where somebody caught someone in a submission with 10 seconds left in the fight, or Leon caught Usman with a head kick. Volk was, I said during the fight, and so did, I can't remember who the commentator was, but he said it right before it happened. If there's 1 or 2 times he doesn't get off his back off of that cage, and every time, the reason Volk won the first round, he looked like he was about to engage, and then he'd roll out, and Ilia was like, fuck. The one time he didn't, he got caught and knocked out. You weren't winning the fight. He was winning. He won the first round, yes. That doesn't mean you were going to win the fight.
Yeah.
Aljamain won the first round against O'Malley. He looked like, I'm fighting this very intelligently, which Volk was doing. I wanted Volk to win that fight, but I said, he doesn't get his back off of that cage 1 or 2 times, Ilia's going to finish
It's
him.
night.
It
Ilia's evaluation was as good as it gets. He's as honest as it comes. Like, I get it. It's like, well, obviously Ilia's going to talk good about himself. So is Charles. Ilia's elevation was honest, and I think it was true. What is it usually? He was like, it usually takes me time to close the gap, close the distance with Max Holloway, with Alexander Volkanovski, with these guys. They're trying to avoid me. They're fighting on their back foot, and it takes me time to close the gap. That's why I'm knocking him out in round 2 or 3. He's going to come forward. I'm going to knock him out round 1. He's like, great, close the gap for me. I agree with him on that.
I do too. I don't know if Charles is going to actually do that.
Where did he knock Max and Volkanovski out? Behind the black line, and they're back on the cage.
That's what I'm saying.
It just, as soon as he was like, there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide, it's me and you right now, they went to sleep.
But
Charles has one fighting style, that shoot the box style. He's very confident in it, and he's gonna walk forward.
The thing is, you're walking forward.
He's not gonna walk. He's never walked backwards before. He's not gonna start doing it now.
I just don't think. I think that Charles, that first time, if he comes out and tries to fight like a quick pace, I think he's probably going to realize really quickly, even if he gets hit with like a jab or a shot, even seeing the
liver shot,
the viciousness of that punch, he's probably going to. I mean, unless you just have the arrogance that he can't knock me out. But I look at it like, well, dude, you've been hurt by the last like 5 guys you fought, whether you've won or lost.
Turn your brain on.
Right. Well, and if you don't, it's going to be turned off for you.
My problem is I'm just going based off of the style that I know he trains at, the style I've seen him fight year after year, and I've seen him get knocked down by Gaethje, get up, move forward. Knocked down by Chandler, get up, move forward. He's gotten knocked down, gotten hurt. Islam too, moves forward, and you're like, dude, back up.
I'll give him that.
Islam just knocked you down.
He doesn't move back whatsoever. Like Islam, most guys, when they fight Islam or Habib or Morab, they're like, I got to get back so I can get ready for the takedown. He's like, I'm just going to move forward.
Charles Oliveira is one of the best lightweights, top 5 all time for sure, in my eyes. And this is he's easily the, I said Ilia's the, outside of Islam, probably the toughest matchup he's ever had. Easily the most skilled fighter that Ilia's fought. All well-rounded wise.
Mm-hmm. Because you made a point, you said that Gaethje hurt Charles and he got up and went forward. I mean, we had Max Holloway, and I know it doesn't work like this, went up, fought 155. Gaethje was, I still think he could be in line for a title fight. Beat the brakes off of Gaethje, and then asked him to stand here and I'll give you a shot, and then knocked him out cold. Ilia never really looked like he was in danger in the Max fight, and Max he's never had his glove or knee on the ground during a fight and was sleeping.
And that's the thing, we said the Max...
That was a lot of weight.
Volk run round 1, we'll say, and Max had good rounds round 1s and 2. But like you said, Ilia wasn't in danger.
No, it wasn't.
It was just a good fight back and forth, but it wasn't like, ooh, Ilia's about to go down, he's about to go out, he's wobbled. It was just like, this is a back and forth chess match of a fight until Ilia puts his lights out.
I rewatched the end of that fight, and it was, I think it was Cruz on commentary. Or maybe Felder. It's like, he might outpunch him. He might punch himself out here.
Said Ilia has to be careful he doesn't punch himself out. Next punch he knocks Holloway out.
I was like, don't compare yourself to him.
Oh, and that's another thing. Go watch Josh Emmett. He fucking kicked the shit.
He can go 25 minutes nonstop pressure.
Look at him in the 5th round against Josh Emmett, and he grappled the 4th round. He won the 4th round 10-7.
I think we're watching a guy right now that it is like
he is lazy.
He's ascending at the right time, at the right moment.
And he's fighting a guy who, like I said,
it's not like he beat Josh Emmett and was moving up. He beat Volk and Max. And Volk just beat Diego Lopez, so it's like, Volk still has some gas in the tank.
Max is like Charles. We got some good
Max
rematches.
Just beat Justin Gaethje before.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to see Max Dustin winner fight the winner of this fight too, by the way.
Dustin's out.
Well, here's so we had this on watch the slap sheet for Power Slap. Michelle Brown had mentioned that she could have waited for Paige to return and got a title shot, but she's going to fight on the prelims here, which I think Dana rewards that type of shit. So even a loss, she's fine. Gaethje now said he's not fighting again until it's a title shot after this winner, because he's like, I took a risk with Max and lost.
I agree.
I'm too late in my career. I'm not risking it. What's your assessment? Does it depend on where you're at in your career before you could make those decisions to wait for a title shot?
Well, I think Gaethje...
Arman fucked himself. He's not there yet.
Gaethje, he's the backup fighter for this.
Which he has some balls to talk shit about Charles or Ilia missing weight, when it's like, dude, you're the only reason you didn't fight Islam because you missed weight. You're not anybody that should judge on weight class. Weight cuts.
Arman is out. He needs to really prove himself. I think Gaethje was 3-0 before he fought Max. He did that because the UFC offered him UFC 300, and like that really, if Gaethje would have said no, I think he would be fighting for this. I think it would be
He
him instead of
100% would have got a
Charles.
title fight.
Because Charles lost to Arman, and now he's getting this. Like, that
Yeah.
sucks for Gaethje.
Who was Moicano supposed to fight, or who was Islam supposed to fight when he fought Moicano? Oh,
Charles.
Arman.
Oh no, Arman. You're right. Yeah,
It
sorry.
would be Gaethje if he didn't fight the BMF fight.
It would 100% be
Gaethje.
Gaethje. So I do agree that he deserves that, because who else is he going to fight at this weight class, unless it's Arman? But I think that,
Like, to me, Gaethje has earned the right to now wait.
not
Arman
even
has
now.
not.
Wait, I think he should have been the backup fighter for this, and you're the
Yeah.
next guy in line. Like Arman, he missed. He didn't even get like a real punishment, because if tomorrow Charles says he hurt his back, Arman's now stepping in.
He's not going to get a title shot next, though.
He's the backup fighter. That's
If he's not,
I don't think so. I
he's
think
not going to get.
I-
Shamrock's been the backup fighter before he didn't get a title.
I think what they're doing is that Gaethje's the next one, so they're like, we don't want you to have to cut weight and then worry about.
Gaethje probably
and
wouldn't
then
want to be.
and then
backup fighter.
Gaethje's like, so I have to figure out who I'm fighting at last second. So they're like, okay, Arman, to make up for this and get in our good graces to have a number one contender fight next, if you can be the backup fighter, that way Gaethje can fight next and not have to cut weight twice and within a couple months.
Well, a guy in the top 5 has to be the backup fighter, and Max and Dustin are fighting next month, so they're not going to be it.
Gaethje's not risking
Charles
short
fighting on the
notice
card,
fights.
so he's not going to be the backup fighter.
I actually think Arman being the backup fighter is perfect too, because Dana's probably actually more worried about him weighing in, and he's like, okay, you made weight, now you're back in the loop. But if he if he misses weight for as the backup fighter, I'm like, you fight 170 or you're not fighting in the UFC, because you ruined a card. You absolutely ruined a main event. You wanted this fight. This was the guy you lost to in a decision, and it's for the belt, and that's bothered me for like a year, but I don't think it's coming off. There's a string on the couch over here that Billy's trying to pull off, but it's not going to come off. But I think Arman is the backup fighter strategically, so where it's like, okay, he made his 155. You're back into good running. We'll give Gaethje the next fight, and then you're after that, but like I feel like Arman's probably like, well, dude, I need some money too. I need to fight somebody in between there.
If you're Dustin Poirier and you beat Max Holloway and they offer you a title shot, do you take it or do you retire?
You'd have to take it.
If they offer me it, yeah.
It depends also on who it is. If it's
Ilia Topuria.
I mean,
Could you imagine?
yeah, you would have to.
Could you imagine watching Ilia Topuria knock out Volk, Max, Charles, and then Dustin Poirier?
Someone actually would find him and kill him.
He'd be the legend killer of UFC.
He would
He'd be Randy Orton.
What he said, I like Charles too. I think he's a great guy. I have nothing against him personally. Seems like a good man. I gotta do what I gotta do.
My thing is, his shit talk is level headed.
That's what I'm saying.
He's so good. You see him training. He said, "Poor Charles, poor Charles."
Like, he's funny.
He would
He's
put the
witty.
last. What's the word? Like
Nail in the coffin.
no, like the last group of those fighters. Like, what are they called?
Oh, he put him to fucking
Like I'm saying, like the last.
Set him out the pasture.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the last like
Mohicans.
no.
The four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Like the biggest guys of the last generation. He would
Right.
put that generation of fighters.
What Buckley thought he was doing to 170.
Yes, that's the word I was looking
It'd
for.
be like
Generation.
Alcaraz beating Federer, then Djokovic, then Nadal.
Right.
Oh.
Straight. And you're like, oh my god, this guy has just beat
Who's next in that generation?
of what generation?
145, 155. Is there anybody after Dustin if he beats Charles?
Justin.
No, he's done. He's on the way out. Oh, you mean in terms of the
That would be the last of that generation, yeah, right?
Because even Arman's a newer guy.
Arman's newer
even
guy.
Islam-
Arman's younger than Ilya.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't say
I think,
Arman.
I'm not sure.
Arman
even
and
Islam
Islam.
being the champion. No, he's still younger.
I'd say Arman, Islam, Ilya are the same generation of fighters. Islam might be a little bit, obviously he's a little bit older, but I would consider him.
Islam's younger. Islam wasn't.
He's closer to them than he is to Dustin and them.
Their
yeah,
UFC.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Man.
Because those guys are kind of one like I'm thinking these new guys like Ilya and Islam are like Danny said.
Go look up when
Islam
Charles-
knocked Charles down, and I'm jumping right on you. Justin and Dustin and Max would not do that. Like Ilya and Islam are the guys where it's like, oh, you knocked. Oh god, he's coming on top of me now to choke me out. Like that's that new type of fighter where it's like,
Here we go, though. We were saying Justin Gaethje's waiting for a title shot. Ilya knocks out Charles convincingly round 1. Islam chokes out JDM round 1. 170 matchup is Ilya Islam. Correct?
That's my scare. Yeah. Then it's Justin and Arman probably for the title.
Do you do Justin and Arman for the title, or is Ilya just saying 170 is a one-stop
You do
shot?
Justin, and you hope Max beats Dustin Poirier, and then you do that rematch.
Right. Because you can't do with Ilya.
But if you're
you go fight
Justin-
Islam, and then if
there's-
he wins there, then what?
What I'm saying is, what if Ilya says, I just want to win the 170 belt and then go back to 155 is a nice cut for me. I don't want to fight at 170.
Yeah, I say, okay,
And you tell Justin it's an interim title fight. Is he like, fuck no, I don't want to do an interim title fight. I want the actual title.
I don't know.
That's where I agree with Dana, where we wait to see how it plays out, because we could talk all about this, and then Charles knocks out Ilya.
What does Dana like to say about ifs?
Yeah.
If my grandmother had wheels, she had a bike. She'd be a bike.
Yep.
She wouldn't-
Anything else for the card or any more UFC talk? Make
Ilia by knockout. Under a round and a half. If you want
Plus
my
120 under a round and a half.
if you want my parlay, I got Ilia under a round and a half. I got Pantoja, and I got Moicano. But I'm probably gonna take Moicano off.
Let's do that, Ilia, and if you're finished, decision round, Mystic Mac prediction.
Ilia round 2.
Ilia round 1.
1 or 2, but I'm going to say 2 because I think Charles is playing a little bit of a game. There's no way he's walking forward.
Pantoja round 4. Ilia round 1.
I like Ilia round 2, but under 1.5.
1.5. I think Ilia in the first minute or 2 of round 2.
I think it gets them towards the end of round 1,
Yeah, I agree.
and then Charles is like, and Charles I think goes, I got to be more aggressive.
I don't think it goes 4 minutes.
I would not be shocked by that
at all. If they had a prop bet of under 1 round, I would see those odds. But my favorite, I think, this weekend is Joshua Van, and I like
Odds wise,
who was the one that was fighting that I said before that?
Lima,
No. After him.
Van,
No.
Kara.
Nope. The only other fight we're missing.
Moicano.
Yes, I like Moicano
Thank
a lot
you.
against Dariush. I just couldn't think of the name.
But you got to keep in mind, he absolutely, for some reason, despises Dariush.
I don't like him.
He has hatred for this man.
Next in the clinch, Bryce Just Hands Jones, who's fighting on Power Slap 13, will be joining us.
Plus 135 on stations for Bryce Just Hands Jones.
Big fucker. Make sure you go bet on him as well.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think of the Power Slap card on Slap Sheet on here. Let us know what you think of the UFC card. And then winnersgetpaid.com.
Winners get paid on Instagram. Get winners on Twitter.
They're just handing out free money. So make sure you do all of that.
Literally handing out free money. 6-0 in baseball. The streak just ended 7-1 in baseball in the last 8.
Bill, you got anything else before we get out of here?
I think that we are good. And you already mentioned for them to go watch Slap Sheet on the channel.
Yep, Slap Sheet's Power Slap 13. A little insight on Power Slap 14 of what's come out and recap of Power Slap 12. All right, well, Danny,
That's it.
see if we can. Let's see if they catch up. We're only 1 fight difference in terms of picks this weekend. Let's see if they catch up by a fight, or I have Kai Kara-France.
Oh, I
so
see.
rest of the card we're
My apologies.
we're all in on. Well, until next time, rock on, live on, and fight on.